Welcome everybody to the Pi Day webinar. We're here with Durran Cage. Hey Durran, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing wonderful. We are going
Good.
to talk about the best ways to communicate today. Let's jump into this thing. Here we go. All right, so you got me. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at TradePending. Durran, give us the quick 30 seconds on, or a minute, on who you are and what you do.
No, I'll keep it short because I want to get to what's important to everybody. But thank you so much, TradePending, Matthew, for having me on. But yeah, my name is Durran Cage. I own a business called Cage Automotive that focuses on helping dealerships with their online sales processes, their CRM, and their digital marketing. And I'm also the co-founder of BEV Everything, which is helping dealerships that are moving in that speed of light with the EV consumer demand, and it applies for their dealerships in those right markets. So again, thank you so much, and I'm excited for this topic.
You bet. Never a dull moment in that space. As we do, we are recording this. We will share it out afterwards along with the deck, so you'll have all that. So everything that we share here, you will get. And if you didn't know this, we are giving away a pizza party. So one lucky participant here today, I'll pick the name from the list of attendees. We'll have a pizza party for your dealership. It is Pi Day. I realize it's not the same thing, but it's close. We're going with it, right? And if you have not been following along on social media, we do a ton of great stuff there. We have everything from the whimsical, like the man in the dealership interviews where we're interviewing people in dealerships, man on the street. We have thought leadership content as well. And actually, we just released a video a couple of weeks ago where we blew up a truck in the desert. So you should check that out if you haven't seen that yet. All right. So let me tee this whole thing up here, and then we'll get into the meat of the conversation here. I'm going to preach to the choir here for a moment, but you guys know this. Like buyers do a ton of research before they're coming to any kind of major purchase, especially true with a vehicle. They're spending hours and hours and hours researching. They're going to a lot of different websites to find all the information that they want. And then ultimately, they're really only going to one, maybe two dealerships. And so, in the context in the world of trade pending, we think about trade ins. It's like, yeah, like what's the value of my car? But like, why? Why are you giving me the number that I'm seeing? And if I don't get any kind of explanation, I'm going to go shop CarMax, Carvana, other dealerships just to find who is going to give me the best number, whether or not it's real or not. And when it comes to a purchase, right, show me the monthly payment, Carfax, service records, window sticker, show me all that stuff. And when it comes to service, like after I've made the purchase, help me understand what you offer and how much it costs. And throughout all of this, video is a phenomenal way to communicate and keep people engaged and to share everything with them that you can. We obviously have products that do that. That's not the focus here today. The focus is to talk about that video and the information sharing process. And so at this point, I'll throw my first question over to you, Durran, and let me stop sharing so we can get just us here on the screen here. We're going to talk about video, but you say it's not just about video, it's what's around video. What do you mean?
Yeah, so when I say it's not just about video, it's around the video is let's talk about the communication, right? So what we're saying to the consumer, making sure that they're having a good experience where they feel like they're part of the process, but it's also what's around the video experience when they receive that video. So sometimes we'll send a video to somebody, and if we've done it from our personal phone, we don't know what happens after that, right? Other than a reply. But when you can deliver an experience where that video, similar to like a snap sale, where there's an experience around it, where there's a call to action and there's different things that the team can do, or that to the team, the customer can do after they've seen the video, that's what creates that collective experience from the conversation, the video, and what's around that video to help the customer move forward with their buying journey. That's what it's all about with the video, because just video by itself, to me, isn't good enough anymore. We have to make sure that it's a collective experience.
When you talk about that collective experience, I know that you've posted some videos about saying, hey, here's the video, but also include all this additional information. We do that. There's some other companies that do that. Kind of drill a little bit deeper into that in terms of why that is so important to give people not just a video, but more.
Yeah, so we want to give them more because customers have so many options now, right? And so if we don't give them more into, okay, here's the vehicle, right? So let's say I'm going to do a video walk around. Okay, well, after we've done a video walk around, how can we give more on top of that? Well, how we can give more is after that video walk around, be like, hey, so if this video was helpful for you, then let me know what's the next step you would like to take. And I've made it easy for you. There's next steps right here in the video. You could do a finance application. You could go ahead and value your trade. Or if you want to go ahead and book time to come in and view the vehicle yourself, you can do it right here. So that's what I mean. It keeps that customer on that journey to where we're not saying, and people have heard me say this, we want to get away from what time can you come in, what time can you come in. We want to ask customers, what's the next step you would like to take? And what information can I provide for you to make this an easy experience?
I think the key there is you're keeping them engaged as they go through the process. You're letting them kind of guide themselves, but you're providing them that avenue to do it, and so that they're staying engaged with you and
Yeah.
not going to 14 other different sites to find everything they want. All right, so we'll take a step back here. So we're talking a lot about video, but I think it's probably helpful to have some context, like why did you become a champion of video? Just talk me through your journey of like air quotes video.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing that video became so important about was really back in 2009, 2010. This is more of like in the YouTube days because it was really hard to get video to customers back then. Like you couldn't do an attachment, it would have never gotten through. But like back then, it was important to set up Bluetooth as part of the delivery experience with certain manufacturers. What would happen is customers would lose this device here, or they get a new cell phone and they need to attach Bluetooth to it. So I started recording content for delivery videos, commonly asked questions that you might have after delivery if you get new technology. Then it started turning into video testimonials because customers would start getting scared when they were driving or flying from states away to buy a vehicle that they have not seen yet. And so fast forward to today, the reason why video is so important is because it increases that transparency that we're trying to tell everybody about. There's one thing for us to talk about transparency, but there's another one to actually show the transparency. In personal story for me, I always tell this story to my students. It's video will be done one or two ways. We will either do it proactively or we will do it typically when pain happens. And so what I mean by this, pain for me happened in 2018 at the end of my business when I lost one of my largest clients because they asked me to join their team as a marketing director. And I said, I want to see if this Cage thing can do something. They're like, okay, you're fired. I'm like, okay. And in another store, it was a dealer group. They got bought out by a large dealer group in Texas. So that took away over half my business because it was tied with these clients. So I didn't know what to do. I wasn't doing any marketing for my own self or anything. And literally on December the 31st, 2018, I recorded my first YouTube video for my business. And it was terrible, but I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then by February, March, I was able to retain all my business back just by putting video content out there, emailing it to dealerships, and then also putting things on YouTube. And so I tell everybody, even on this call, don't wait for things to happen for you to get engaged with video if you're not already doing it. Be proactive. And as Matthew shared at the very beginning, if we know so many people are already online and they're already trying to get their information, and we know that a good majority of people are going to research using video, why would we not want to proactively be there and position ourselves with video? So that's kind of how I got into it. It's just, hey, let's learn from this awareness mistake, but let's not ever go back to the pain part again. Let's stay proactive when it comes to video.
What is the number one reason that people don't want to do video, and how do you coach them beyond that?
The same reason I didn't. We're worried about what we'll be seen as, right? Like it's that feeling of getting past putting this camera in front of your
I
face.
don't like how I look. Yeah, I don't like my voice.
Oh,
Right.
voice. That was me. My voice. Even after this show, it would be hard for me to listen to my voice, right? And I'm very critical about that. But here's what I always remind people, and I'll give you an exact thing that I did. One thing we always want to remind ourselves is we are on video every single day. It's through people's eye lens. Their brain is taking in our information. That is the human video recorder. But The other thing that I would do that I would tell anybody is just practice, right? It's just I would record videos and then play them back to myself, record them again and play them back to myself, and let myself be the biggest critic. And then I would let my trust, like I'd let my wife listen to my video, or somebody that's close and be like, hey, what did you think? And the reason why it's so important for other people to hear it as well is because they'll hear things that you might not have heard. So what I would hear is like, Durran, you're talking too fast. Like, slow down a little bit, because I don't know what you're trying. I felt like you were selling me on that video. I didn't feel like you were educating me. So that's what I would tell people. If you have a little apprehension, practice a little bit, understand you're already on video, it's already happening, but then have a couple trusted friends with you, or some partners, business associates that can give you some honest feedback as well.
One of the best bits of advice I got early in my sales career was I'd speaking with somebody on the phone, and my coworker turns to me and said, "Everything you said was amazing. Now talk a lot slower, and you'll say less and you'll say more." I was like, "Oh, that's true." Um,
Yeah.
so, do any examples come to mind to you of people that you've worked with that have been reticent and shy to do video, and they've given it a try and they've seen the light? Like, what has that looked like?
So I'll give you an example. There's a gentleman at a Highline store. It's a Mercedes store, and he was really apprehensive about video. Well, we got past that step because I told him one secret that I'll give everybody on this show too. If you're really apprehensive about video, just don't be it in the beginning. So at the beginning, just record, make the video about the car, because that's what the customers care about anyways. It's not about you, it's about the car. But then I said, okay, now that you've gotten comfortable doing your voice and playing and recording, now I would like for you to be in it at the intro, like letting people know who you are. And I'm talking about he's sweating bullets. He's like, no, no, no. But after he did it, what he noticed was his responses went up in terms of the content that he would send to his customers. But then also, when he would take some of these videos and repurpose them on social media and putting them out there, the engagement skyrocketed, because now people can attach a human to what they're seeing, and not that it's just either some robot. Nothing against AI videos or anything like that, but I still feel that humans value that human connection, and him taking those steps helped him go from a little bit of anxiety about video. Let's just record the cars and do our voice. Now let's be in there for a little bit, and now he's comfortable literally just talking with the car the entire video. So that would be a recent win that I thought that was really cool to see.
Is it a myth to say that some generations will embrace video more than others? Like young people will do it more than people in their 40s and 50s, the boomers, right? What's your take on that?
So, speaking from it being close to home, I've got a 15-year-old son, and when he talks to his friends, and I don't know if anybody else has some kids that they have, but the kids that yeah,
Just
but those kids
FaceTime
only
it. Just
FaceTime. And what's funny is they don't really even look at each other. They just be talking. And so when he calls me, he FaceTimes. And so my son, my oldest, he's really in tune with my business. He helps edit content, and he's talked on video before. But what he's noticed is there's a difference. Like, he's like, this is completely different, Dad, when I'm recording videos in your studio versus talking to a friend. But I do feel it's not so much whether the next gen, how much they're going to be recording videos. It's about how they received information.
Hmm.
And one thing I can definitely say about my son is when he has a problem, he's not going to a book. He's not going on Google. He's going straight to videos. He's going to get it somewhere, whether it's on a social media channel or YouTube. That's how they take in information, because of speed. They know that if they can get what they're looking for fast and something can tell them quickly, that's what they're going for. And I think that's what this video evolution that we're talking about today really protects us and sets us up for success in the future, because the next gen, that's what they're all about.
Yeah, and I tell you what, from our side, video in terms of our product suite, it's absolutely one of the hottest things right now for us. All right, so there's an almost infinite, not infinite, but there's a lot of touch points that you could use video with in the sales cycle, in the service drive. If you're bringing video into somebody for the first time, like, hey, if you're only going to do video for these three things, what should those three things be? Or what are the most effective touch points to use with video?
I still, and this is maybe just me being a little bit old school, the steps to the sale. They used to say that the greeting is the most important part. I still feel that greeting
Mm.
is a really important part of the process. So I would say a greeting video at the very beginning when you get that request to lay out what's to happen next, right? So Matthew does an online request for maybe it's to appraise his maybe he's got a vehicle. I'm just going to say a vehicle. Well, having a video, the one video that I say, "Hey Matthew, this is Durran. First and foremost, thank you. I received your request on a F1 or whatever
You can
vehicle
call
that
it F-150. I don't drive one,
okay,
but
Ford
that's fine. That's fine.
F-150,
I was
right?
excited to see which car you were going to guess I
Yeah,
drive.
it just came to my mind, but Ford F-150. Hey, and I'm excited to learn more about that vehicle. So once you see this, if you could please reply back or let me know what's the next steps we can take. I'll also send you a video on the vehicle that you had shown that you have interest on. So I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks so much. But immediately, what I like about a video like that is one, it sets up a clear expectation about what's to happen next. And two, we know that the customers might submit requests to a few different places. How many of them are going to do a greeting video where you're saying the customer's name and personalizing like that? Not many. I know because I've researched so many dealerships and mystery shops, so many. Most people will not do that. The second video I would say would be some kind of presentation drive, video walk around. I call it the POV, meaning like a point of view where you're in the car and really getting in that vehicle as if it's for the customer, like they're right there with you. And it provides a great experience that the customer, especially if you can get interior shots where the customer feels like they're sitting in the seat, it's an interactive experience. And the third one is a tie because I really have seen great analytics and we like what happens after an appointment is set, laying out the groundwork. So kind of like what I said earlier to Matthew, like you could do an appointment video, but then also include things that save the customer time. Like, hey, here's a video, here's where you park, here's where you come in. And hey, if you want to save time on this visit, you could complete some of the steps here. And the delivery experience. I like a delivery video. It's great because it kind of brings everybody into the fold. I've seen dealerships have their GM be included in that video, the service department, massive, right? Having the fixed ops manager saying, hey, congratulations. And I've got a store in Columbia, what they do for their delivery. It's the second, I've never seen this. And shout out to Chris Alexander over there. They have their finance managers do their video after the customer leaves finance to say thank you so much for the opportunity. And then they set up the next steps for service. But also if that customer didn't get a service contract or something like that, they include more information in that F&I video after. I was mind blown because I never thought about F&I getting involved with shooting videos and having something go out to the customer afterwards. And since they've done that, it's provided a good level of experience in terms of customer satisfaction, but also some profitability as well, because they've had some customers after they've seen that video, like, well, you know what, maybe we could use that little
Right.
protection, something like that. So
And if some of this does sound overwhelming, right? So when you talk about some of these process videos, hey, here's where you're going to park, here's where you're going to do this. If you're using a platform, using software to this, those can be pre-recorded and you can just fold those in. So you're not having to do every single video from scratch every single time. And that's a big time saver there. But you're hitting upon something here when you talk about engagement and there's more profitability. What are the data points that you're looking at to know if using video is successful? How are you measuring it?
yeah, so the first measurement that I would look at is look at how many customers we receive. So maybe it could be customer requests on lines. I don't like to call them leads, but how many customer requests you have to what contact you've had. So they call it the contact ratio. And so a good healthy contact ratio could be anywhere from 80 to 85%. It's not easy to get to, and there's other factors that come in, and I understand that there's marketing channels, where that customer came from, but that is the first place that you should look, is look at all your marketing channels and look, how many customers have we received? How many of those customers have we come in contact with? Then the next set is how many customers have we come in contact with versus how many appointments we've set. And so typically when we see those numbers, then we implement video into a store, the increase is minimum by at least 20% in both the contact and the set rate every single time. And that's before we get into like really getting good and like watching our words and the energy, just adding that level of experience gets us in more engagement, and it's going to get more appointments at setup and at show. So those are the two key metrics that I would be looking at if I'm a dealer or anybody watching this. Look at your lead to contact and your contact to set ratio, either before, during, and after video implementation.
All right, I'm going to throw a first question at you. Tina, thank you for throwing this one in. If anyone else has questions, you can throw them in the Q&A thing. And let's see here. So Tina asks, OEMs require an FQR in the email. What are your thoughts on that mindset versus the intro email?
So is that a FQR? Does that mean a quote? Is that what that means?
I have no idea.
Because
Tina.
I wasn't gonna act like I knew what FQR was. I'm like,
Tina, if
only
you're
thing I can
still,
think of, because I know most manufacturers, they do require like so much. Like they want the car, they want a quote, they want a link for
oh,
digital retailing. There's a lot of stuff on there. So if that is somewhat of what the FQR is, then what I've seen dealers do is and still just include a video with that information if
all
you
right.
can. Okay, go
We've
ahead.
got clarification. Yeah, first quality response. Thank you, Dan and Tina, for throwing that in for us.
Yeah,
It's a
so
lot of
if
acronyms.
yeah, and we have to combat with that too, because when we consult, it's always looking at what do the manufacturers want, which is unfortunate because it really should be what do the customers want,
Hmm.
right? Every customer maybe should receive even a video. Not every customer should receive, but we're not going to get into that. So, but what I would say, if there's a guideline and that they want you to follow, let that be your first video, because it might be too overwhelming to throw a video on top of all that other information that the OEMs want to have, and then follow it up with a second video. And maybe in the copy of the first email, that FQR, is include somewhere that a video is coming next. Like give them something next to look forward to. Like, hey, super excited. Here's some information. I'll also be giving you a video shortly. Or I do have, like, there's a client that I have that they follow their OEM guideline and they put their video underneath, like at the bottom, kind of where there's a video right there. So either or, you're completely fine if you do it in number two, because another thing I'll tell you that most OEMs don't, I'm not going to say that they watch as much, but text messaging is a huge part of our business, right? We know that's where a lot of our engagement comes from. So you could email the normal FQR what they want, but then when you text leading with a video and a question in there, because you could do that as well. And the texting is going to get you better engagement anyways when it comes to video.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for helping that. And Tina chimes in. She agrees with you. She just wants to sell the car. All right. So I'm going to ask you basically the same question, but two different ways. What should you avoid? What are a few simple things to avoid when you're doing video?
I would avoid, like a pet peeve is when your face is like halfway in the video and it's just showing like one eyeball or an ear, like either be in video, yeah, like that he's
Right.
doing it, either be present or be out of it, and avoid, I call it the shaky hand syndrome. If it's really shaky for customers, then that can be really, it can get annoying and it can get sickening. But most of our phones all have stabilizers on them now, so you don't see that often. So watch the noise, because audio is really important. So I would watch out for, like, let's say if it's really windy outside, maybe just shoot that one with no sound or something like that, because it can sound really bad. If you've ever heard like a video outside and there's tons of wind noise, it just doesn't sound as clean. So just watch out for the quality of your video. Doesn't have to be the best camera in the world, but make sure if you're in camera, you're in camera. If you're not, don't be in it. And then listen to your audio. Make sure your audio is clean, because if it's not, feel free to record the video and then just do a voiceover afterwards. So you can literally just edit right there and just reshoot it, like after you do the video, just talking to it and just say, hey, Matthew, this is a video that I did for you outside on the whatever, fill in the blank, and then go from there.
Yeah, and if you're using a software platform for video, not just your phone, which we always recommend use a software platform, a lot of them, including us, have a noise canceling feature, which works really good for like bringing down that wind sound, the noisy highway, your noisy coworker Kyle, or like the impact wrench in the service drive. So that's a good one. So a couple of my favorite tips. So we've jumped really heavily into videos the last little year or so, and good lighting. It's key. Obviously, we got kind of like a little bit of a pro setup in here, but yeah, just don't be in the shadows. Don't look like a zombie. And
Yes.
then I think one of my things that it's like it's hard to remember to do, but just smile and like try to smile with your eyes. That just goes such a long way as opposed like any video is better than no video. But if you're just kind of like,
Like you
then
have to do it, right? That's the
right.
worst when dealers are forcing it, saying you got to do a video. It's like, hey, I'm doing this just because. So that's a great point.
All right, we got another question coming in. What is your favorite, easiest platform editor? I have mine, but I'm gonna throw that over to Durran there. You can say whatever you
Um,
want. It's fine.
So for editing, what I personally do, a lot of it I'll use on social media. Like I'll use one of those platforms, either like IG or Facebook, to edit some of my content because it's really easy and add music. And then if we're talking about more professional, like if you're trying to do a long form video that you want to make look really good, I use iMovie as an editing software at home. Or you can use platforms like you can edit it right there within a Snapcell as well to do some editing. But whichever platform, what I tell people, wherever you're already at, if it's a social channel or somewhere else, I would do it within that platform just to save you time. I'm interested to hear Matthews though. What do you
Yeah,
use?
so if you're thinking about using like iMovie or something like that in a social platform, those are great for those kind of one-off types of things. If you're doing this for if you're doing this like for all your leads and everything, you need a tool to do it. We have
Yeah.
one. If you haven't seen it, we'd be happy to show it to you. But the goal there is when you have a tool, it makes it really easy to do that editing, kind of one-touch recording, so you don't have to go back in and drag and drop stuff around, use your finger and all that stuff. And it makes it really easy to send and then to track to see who opens it and get alerted when you're receiving it. And you're also maintaining, uh, it's really boring, but TCPA compliance, right? So that you're actually adhering. So if somebody wants to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe. If you're just using your phone to do that,
Oh, yeah.
it's bad news. We got a great video. We'll actually throw it in the email after this, just in terms of all the video options out there, and how you think about evaluating that. So we'll include that. So great question there. We got another one coming in. All right. Oh, this is a tip I love. We got people throwing in tips here. Make sure you have a good thumbnail.
Oh, yes. You
Right.
have to. Yeah.
And usually it depends on, so if somebody's interested in the car, best thumbnail's probably not your face, as nice as it might be. It's going to be the car. But if you've worked with them in the past, you're in the service department, then, like a quick, GIF there,
Yes.
thumbnail be waving is a great one.
Whoever said that deserves a pie. One day, you send me a message, I'll get you a pie
Oh,
today.
that's so good. All right. So I asked the question, what to avoid, and we're hitting on best practices. What other best practices do you like
To avoid or to do?
to do?
I would say so. Make sure when you if you're emailing this out, I would say a big best practice is to make sure in the subject line you hyper personalize that subject line and include that there's a video for that person. Because I see people, we work so hard to create the content, but when we send it out in an email, it just says the dealership's name. And nothing against your dealership. I love your dealership's name, but if it's gonna have something rich as much as a video in there, make sure that we put that at the top and make it easy to be seen.
Awesome. And we also had another question. Do we have any good example videos? Yeah. So we'll include that in the follow-up email for this. So, hey, here's how you think about shopping for video software, and then here's some example videos we can have. All right. So Durran, man, this has been wonderful. We're running out of time here. So let's go back into this whole thing here and let's bring this thing home because it is time. Oh yeah, we got a referral program for our customers. If you refer somebody, we'll send you a sweet Yeti cooler. You should do that. We have to sign up, but there we go. And for making it through this, if you don't have your own trade pending mascot yet, hit that link. We will send you the trade pending Wobbly Bird. It is actually in like a ESPN commercial now as well too. Name, image, and likeness fees did apply for that. For like picking your bracket. It's like, hey, you can pick your bracket with the bird. Anyway, I digress. All right, so let me pick a winner of the pizza party here real quick. Thank you everyone for sticking around. All right. And you know what? For sheer participation and amazingness, pizza party is going to go to Tina McCandis. Thank you, Tina. You win.
You, Tina.
And I
You're
hope you work for a dealership and you're not working for one of our competitors, but we'll send you, we'll send you a pizza anyway. All right.
that's
Oh, like we,
good.
we may have one more question in here. Let's see if we got time for one more. Maybe it's just somebody Being smart. She says woohoo. All right, great. So thank you everybody for joining today. Durran, thank you again for lending us your expertise.
Always, I could have done this for hours with you, Matthew. It's always great. Thank you, the Trade Penny team. Always fun.
Awesome. And maybe we'll make a video of this. I'm just kidding. All right. We'll see
Right.
you.